I'm Heather Miller-Lardon, and I'm a Baroque double bass player. Welcome to my video series on the 77 Baroque bass lines, compiled and edited by Lucas Drew. It's a collection of bass lines to Baroque sonatas by a variety of composers, and I found it to be an excellent vehicle for any bass player to experiment with Baroque style. It's essentially a Baroque bass etude book. The introduction states that the player should at all times be aware of the melodic and harmonic implications or functions of each note. I agree with this 100%, and it's actually a really great paraphrase of Leopold Mozart's advice in his treatise on violin playing in 1756. You have to add your own flair, but it's got to be logical, expressive, and support the composition. So how do you do that? As you can imagine, it's not a linear process, but there are some patterns that emerge when you start to look at a lot of different types of bass lines. In this series, I'll talk through some basic stylistic concepts for each excerpt and outline some changes that, in my opinion, better reflect historical performance practice. Then I'll play through the whole thing. If you have the sheet music, you can follow or play along. Some of the things we'll consider are tempo words and how they correspond to the added metronome markings, the affect or overall mood of each piece, and there's lots of ways to choose this. You can be really creative. Musical motives or gestures and how they can shape your interpretation. The beat hierarchy or good and bad notes, strong and weak beats. This is super important. We don't want to ever play any two notes equally. That was not considered good taste in the 18th century. Bow strokes, by which I mean the way we use the bow to create different types of sounds, as opposed to articulation, by which I mean articulating musical phrases in the same way we punctuate language. So a comma or semicolon between phrases, a period, a question mark, or exclamation point for a longer pause at the end of a sentence, and that corresponds to a cadence. Baroque composers rarely included dynamics because musicians were just expected to know how to add them in different gradations and in the moment. So Lucas Drew adds some for us, and I'll tell you if I agree with them and why or why not. There's no correct way to do this, and I really hope these videos will serve as inspiration for your own creative interpretations.